Hey everybody, and welcome to That's a Mouthful. We are glad you're joining us here today. Well, guys, okay, we recently did a special episode that we released talking about the television show 911. We've mentioned the show multiple times, and guys, most recently there was a two-part episode. This last part episode was called Lab Rats, and it was the worst episode of television that I've ever seen in my entire life, Matt. Now, here's the deal. I will say this. I thought it was a really
Spoilers ahead.
well.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. Also, if you haven't seen it, it's already been spoiled.
Yeah.
um, uh, it was really a bad episode.
Mm.
Guys, basically, Bobby Nash dies apparently in this episode, and the internet, as most of you probably know if you're a fan of the show, went crazy. Also hated it. It seems that many cast members also hate it.
Yes.
Lots of drama concerning this particular show, and people saying they're just not going to watch it anymore. Matt, so you finally get to watch the
I did.
episode.
Huge fan of the actor and huge fan of the Bobby Nash character. It's so unfair that he died. But there is something I want to point out, that in the world they work in, that life isn't fair. You know, it's kind of like somebody having this amazing life. They're wonderful. And then they're killed when they trip and fall down the stairs and, injure themselves. His character, I feel it didn't feel contrived. It didn't feel, because the actor, like whatever he does, he puts his 150% into it. He made the decision to do what he did. And it wouldn't, as his character points out, it wouldn't have changed the results, no matter if he'd said anything or not. What he did was spare the lives of his colleagues, of his team, because by keeping them calmer and helping them focus, which helped everybody on the outside that was supporting them also stay focused and not, they were worried, but not extra worried. They were worried about the one teammate who was definitely on his way down. The actress who plays the villain in that episode, she should probably just go into hiding for like a month. Like, you couldn't have paid me enough to be her actor. I would have been scared. But a controversial opinion is life isn't fair. And the supporting role, the leadership and support that the Bobby Nash character is to a lot of the cast, the show has been on for 8 seasons. So characters like Buck and these other characters who are in their mid-20s and, finding their way, I don't want to say they've outgrown him. More so they have grown up. And this should be the time where he starts to retire. And he's had multiple opportunities to retire, but he always gets pulled back in. And I think anybody that works in any kind of healthcare position, it's always there in the back of your mind. Even when you think you're going to walk away, you're not. In some way, even if you go do something different, your brain cannot help but go back to it. I think no matter which facet, and I said, even more so for our EMTs, paramedics, and firefighters. Yeah. And what I think it does is it highlights the risk of, so the oxygen odds of somebody dying due to a damaged oxygen tube low in that scenario. Absolutely. But the odds of a serious injury or death due to the type of work is not as low. And I don't know what the point of the episode specifically was, or if they were just, because he didn't want fired. The actor did not want to leave the series. And I really hope it's some kind of like drugged out dream sequence of somebody's character, or, Athena's in a coma or something like that. I hope. And I mean, and I held it together through there until the characters kind of start grieving. And then Ravi tells Karen, like, this person's fine. Okay. And he's trying to get the words out, and the way he choked up, and she's very clearly, because the Karen character is very smart. They didn't draw out the drama of, as she's like, okay, well, who? And then as he's choking, she's grasping what he's saying and just goes to pieces. And that is what happens, and it was heartrending. It was like,
so I hear you.
I'm like, I am in my feelings right now.
Yeah, the show's been going for like 8 seasons. And I think the thing with the show, like literally no one dies. No one dies in the show. Even the people that they go do, like, go rescue, usually no one dies in this show. I mean, Chimney's had rebar thrown through his head. few weeks ago, Maddie had her throat slashed, which she probably should have died. Like, there's all these like high stake things, and no one has ever died in this show, 8 seasons in. So I think at that point, uh, you have conditioned your audience, and the audience is expecting that this is not reality. This
Right,
is
and
a
it's very
show that I
possible
want to watch
we
for
haven't seen
comfort.
this may not be canon,
Yeah. And
but
so I think indeed if he did write it so that the character dies, it's just weird. It doesn't fit the show as a whole of what the show has been, I guess. Even Lone Star, when Rob Lowe had wanted to be killed off multiple times, they still kept him. And even in the end, when they could have killed him, he didn't die. So the expectation that someone is going to die is not there. And so I think it robs the audience as a loyal audience. It robs them. And I think there's a lot of things in the particular episode that are just written poorly, as far as like Eddie not being there. No one ever contacts Eddie in any form, and I do think in recent episodes, they have been kind of sidelining Eddie
well,
as more
see,
of a
this is
side character.
another reason why I don't like that the Bobby Nash character is, if this is canon, is off. But at the same time, this is a large ensemble cast, and there's a lot of storylines that get like a minute or two every other episode because there is a very large beloved cast that they have maintained for 8 years,
Yeah.
and making room for other people's stories is not the worst thing ever. And what bonds a team, because they are not all the same generation here. They
Yeah.
are very clearly different generation, and the characters are growing. And at some point, things happen. And if this show had only been going on for 2 or 3 seasons and they'd done this, I'd have been just furious because really, but
See, I think the opposite. I think if they had done it early on, well,
oh
not
yeah,
necessarily
you
the
either need to do
storyline,
it
but the
like you
expectation.
either need to do it really, really early, or there's a bigger plan. And I think if one thing the writer strike showed us is that yes, some people do a really shit job of writing things. And Ryan Murphy has a habit of like about the 6th or 7th season, just kind of it goes from this like amazing fleshed out thing to like a stick figure drawing. But the writers have overall, yeah, there's some absolutely ridiculous things because I mean, watching the CPR in 911, ridiculous.
Well,
You would
and
never,
that's what,
and also you would never intubate somebody if they're colostomy, the one like the colostomy in their stomach,
yeah.
that being backed up.
So that's what's like, so
No, but the
that's what's so
actual,
annoying though, right? Because so Tim Minear, who's kind of like the head writer of the show, he wants it to be more realistic. He says in statements concerning Bobby Nash, literally, you wrote a B NATO episode, the first episode. It's your show isn't realistic. Why are you trying to all of a sudden turn it into something it's not, I guess? And that's what a lot of fans don't. I mean, so here's an interesting thing also when you look at it. If you're a writer, if you're writing an episode, you're writing a show, you're writing a characters, deciding where things are going to go, where the future of the show is going to go. If you look in the history of killing off characters, it doesn't usually work. So usually a show kills off a character and the show collapses.
it just
You
all
have,
depends. This is
but
not
history shows Dallas, the 100, the OC, they kill off these like core characters. It goes one more season or so, and then it gets canceled
it
because
just
the
really
audience
depends
just
on what
doesn't want it, I
they
guess.
right, but also at the same time, like this isn't a small cast, and there are a lot of great there's a lot of great talent on there, and I feel like they kind of should have sidelined Bobby's character a little more to make room for some of the others because there's a lot of great. I mean, you have some just like A+ talent on this show, and the chemistry they have developed over
Yeah.
many years. Because if this is the direction they're going, I think just automatically canceling the show is stupid because fans aren't the writers. They're not in the writers' room. We can't see 5 episodes ahead to see if there
Yeah.
really is a plan. If it's canon, we can't see that. And I think people kind of take a more childish, like, fuck it, I'm out. Like, okay, well, we don't know.
There is some talk internal whatever that Ravi was the one in the script that was supposed to die, and then they changed it at the last minute in writing to have Bobby Nash be the character who
I don't think
died.
it would have worked if Ravi had died because it would have just shown like, oh, Okay. Because he hasn't had a lot of big part screen time in the last couple seasons.
The episode aired, so you can see our side of it and what our thoughts are, and that is what you were seeing online, people posting things, everything. So then you had people posting on the actors' pages, so on their TikToks, their Instagrams, or whatever. Uh, and many of them actually turned off comments for this particular post that they were posting about. But you had uh, Kenneth Choi, who plays Chimney, he did not turn off, and he was posting a lot and interacting with fans a
Right.
lot. This is one of them. Someone
I
said, "I
totally
don't think a single person is happy with this decision, to be honest." And he says, "I agree." And he did more comments that basically was supporting
Oh,
and said he was
100%. I
against it.
don't think this is a direction they should have gone. I don't
Yeah,
think but because this is something that a simple assessment of an oxygen line would have saved his life. But that is how people die in these fields. A simple assessment, a double check of the line that is working, you know,
yeah.
would have saved it, would have absolutely fixed it. And I don't think the episode needed Bobby to die for him to be, for its point to be made. Uh, I think that even if he had been so sick, he was sidelined for a month or two in the world, in this universe, would have sufficed to show that, and that, hey, he's got some permanent damage from this. This is going to end his career sooner. Kind of
Yeah,
setting
fair.
up for an out or a complication. What was it like Buck's allergy to blood thinners that comes up when he develops blood clots?
I
Took
think they even could have had him retire, or after what you're saying happens, and then retire later
right.
on.
So he's still kind of there because most people stay on in those capacities. They're not out in the field anymore, but they will oftentimes work the desk or they're kind of playing advisor because when Bobby was not the captain, they still came to him for advice. They still talked to him and he still is a sound sounding board. And he's intelligent, he's thought out, and he's a flawed hero, which I think I like most about his character, you know. And he makes an interesting point. He's like, I was never supposed to stay here. This was supposed to be, he was never settled.
Yeah.
Like, that's not really explored deeply, but he talks about it throughout the seasons that, Athena was a surprise and he never expected to have the life he did. And he was thankful for it. He had reached peace. And I was getting suspicious that something was going on. I'm like, it seems odd that he's reconciling with his mom and brother right now. This is interesting, 8 seasons in, you know,
Yeah.
but, because it's
Um,
kind of almost like a goodbye.
so
If I
we
tell you
have
that I'm gonna return to Florida, let me tell you, it's like a salmon swimming upstream to die. 'Cause that just know that I'm probably heading that way.
So we had Angela Bassett also, she released a statement saying, "Denial mostly. This doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? You're kind of killing off our father figure." And he explained creatively why he thought it was the right choice, and I fought him on it. Sorry, this is Chimney, King Choi, and I continue to fight him on it. I fought him on it up until we kind of did the funeral stuff because I was thinking maybe they'll pull it back, maybe they'll change their minds, maybe they'll reverse course. But yeah, um,
But isn't it interesting that it triggered literally some of the stages of grief? Because not there are 5 stages, but not everybody experiences every stage. And I think it's interesting, and that should really be talked about in the psyche of the people. It triggered stages of grief in very real people in a very real audience over a fictitious world.
yeah.
That is something to be commended in the world of writing.
The Lab Rats episode is the lowest rated episode of any episode of 911 on IMDb with a 4.1 rating. Most ratings are about 8 or 9 on
And they
911.
don't like it because Bobby died, but like
But so I
people
think
aren't
that
looking at
you
like all the work that's put into the show. I mean, this is a huge like emotionally like I think I was uh there's so people are just so frustrating about I think they're projecting themselves into a show instead of just enjoying the show and things just happening.
well, I think they don't want the characters to die off,
No,
right? And
and
they want
nobody
Athena
does.
and
And that's
Bobby.
that's a key theme in any of our lives. None of us want to lose anybody.
People are watching the show, I guess, to get an escape and to because it's less about the 911 paramedic fire rescue thing, and it's more about these characters and their development of their lives. Um, and so I think people are watching this show as like kind of like an out from reality. And so when they're they're throwing in this thing of a reality of a character dying. That is what they're not liking. And I think that's where like a lot of this, I'm not going to continue watching if he is a dad, because this is not the type of show that I want to watch. And so like I want to watch the show, you know, where there is not real life stakes. And so they've chosen to watch this because there hasn't been. I think that's where a lot of like the anger or the annoyance comes from this particular thing. Now, I say all that to say that there are a lot of theories online too that he is actually not dead and that he is actually alive. There's like the Jesus theory, because we do have this particular photo, and there's another photo where he's praying, and these all point specifically to images, popular images that are painted of Jesus in these exact poses that they have Bobby Nash in, uh, the exact angles and everything. So there's an idea of the Jesus theory where he will actually come back to life in some way, in some form. There is also a
Well, we
lot.
didn't see when in the lab test, we never saw it actually kill the rat. We don't actually know how far along. We don't actually know because even if he was alive, he would not have been able to be walked out like that. He would have been carried out in a because he at that point couldn't walk anyway. He still would have been carried out in something sealed.
So I did mention to Matt there was a specific situation that did occur in this episode when Chimney is given the antidote. It flashes to white. They've not used this very often at all for a fade between scenes. So it's a little bit weird because a lot of times you flash to black, it just fades to black, or you just go to the next thing. They literally flash to white. There's a lot of thoughts that this is a chimney coma kind of situation, and that is that flash. Jennifer Love Hewitt and had posted on April Fools. So a lot of people thinks it's April Fools, but who knows? There is a script that they had kind of like on their makeup desk that says that Bobby makes a phone call to 911 from the coffin. Um, so that would be an interesting thing. No one has said really anything about that. Those things were deleted. And then I think Tim Minear has said he has no idea what people are talking about when that is brought up, the specific calling from the coffin situation. He also has stated that he felt that the audience would need a break, and then
Absolutely.
would he wanted to have this and then have 3 episodes after the break, uh, for people to understand the situation. Some people take that to believe that not that he wanted to end the show, this 8th season, with, Bobby, dying and then people having the whole summer uh,
Be mad
to be
about
like,
it.
"What happened?" Um,
Be mad
so some
about it.
people are thinking into it that, like, he also is not saying that he's dead either, and that this is the break he was talking about, not a summer break, which some people had thought initially that he was meaning, when he didn't wanna end this season with it. And so that would give him the 3 episodes to, "Oh, he's alive," or something. He also has talked in the past this season about Wrath of Khan from Star Trek. And the whole Wrath of Khan situation is where we have oh my god, I'm gonna go blank. Spock dies. And this was also in the movies too, the more recent movies, but it's also in the TV show where Spock dies, and you have the exact situation. Let me see. I do have the image because let's see. Here we go. Wrath of Khan. So this is them mirrored between this windows, and I'll have to pull up the photo of Spock and Wrath of Khan. But basically, Spock comes back to life, um, even though we think he's dead, and it's a very interesting thing because the way that they are mirroring each other. Um, is so interesting between the Angela Bassett and Peter Krause image that I showed you. Okay, so we have now, let's see, I'm gonna pull it up now. So this is, again, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see some of these images. This is the Wrath of Khan image between Spock and
Shatner.
Shatner. So
Kirk,
it's
sorry, Captain Kirk.
Kirk's, yeah. So as you can see, they're very similar in how they are intertwined. So some people, because he has mentioned this, like in the fall, he mentioned Wrath of Khan, and he was he really loves that storyline. See if I can get this off now. So it'll be interesting to see if that plays out in any form or fashion, since he's mentioned that so much. People have also pointed out some interesting things, Matt, that this season has been like a season of like what would you call it? Fake outs. So we had the cake that with Chimney and Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, which was the wrong color. So it was a fake out. There was some other things that other people pointed to within the show this season in which you thought something was something, but it actually was something different.
Right.
Um,
That's what I mean.
so
Like, let the writers write. Like, it's
you
not
al-
a show if there's no drama.
you
So
also had Hot Shots, the earlier season in the fall, where the lead character on that show, there was a whole situation where he was going to kill himself jumping off the bridge, and then a bystander came by and was like, "Hey, you mean so much to us. You change our life by watching your show." La 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 la, like, go on, and save that guy's life. Lead character of Hot Shots. So you can kind of have like a theory going on about the lead character of this show. And again, the fan of the Hot Shots was so enamored by that show and that lead character, and so you're having the same reaction from fans in this case of being so enamored and so close to Bobby Nash that they want to do everything they can to save Bobby Nash. um
so I
and
mean,
so you have a lot of characters that are actors also that have been kind of like, as we see Chimney. So it's like, I don't know. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 3 episodes. If it's a complete fake out and all these interviews have been like completely like fake, which Oliver Stark has said in the past that he has lied for promo. Um,
I mean, he has a job to do. So I mean, they are actors. So that's why I'm like, let's just let them act. We've expressed our opinions, and let's close it off and see how it turns out. Because what's done is done. If it's canon, it's canon. And then people canceling the show over that, just such a disservice to the other characters. That, I mean, one whole thing is that when someone dies, our life goes on until it's our turn.
yeah.
So punishing an entire production because you liked one character, I mean, when you say that out loud, that means no fucking sense, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
So,
unfortunately, we'll see. It is the reality of television. That is what that I will say real quick. If he did write it, that he did die, and it's not a whole fake out, which I think the fake out and everything, and you going back about fake outs of the season, Wrath of Khan, everything that they've kind of been alluding to all season long, it really does wrap it up, like you're saying, and it is very well written. Then, if he did die, I'm gonna say worst episode. If he doesn't die, I'm gonna say it's a very good episode. So we'll see. We'll check back and
we'll let you know
see
in a few weeks.
where we
It's gonna
are.
be like a very dramatic episode of ours, apparently. And then, but also, thank you, everyone. Please don't send me hate mail over this.
Yeah,
But,
Matt doesn't want him to die.
no, I do not. But anyway,
You never know with these fans. I'm telling you, Matt. Okay, everyone. Thank you all for joining us here for another episode. We will check back with y'all. We have 3 more episodes, and we will let you know how it goes. And yeah, it'll be exciting. And y'all seem to love when we talk about 911, so I'm sure you're gonna love this episode. So thank you all, and we'll see y'all again later. Bye, everybody.